Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4,
Nikki, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Sifu. I'm excellent. How are you?
Exceptional, getting better every day. A little bit.
Always, yes.
So
great to be here this morning.
I am thrilled. I mean, we're so fortunate that we have amazing guests who join us. So let's go ahead and bring Austin on. Austin James, come on down. Austin James.
Good morning.
Good morning, Austin.
Good to see you.
Great to see you too.
So, Austin, you were telling me earlier that you're going to be all over the place and you're going to be sharing your knowledge and your expertise. Wow, what an exciting time you have coming ahead of you.
Yes, complete uncertainty. So put your seatbelt on. Let's do it. Plunging right into it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I like the way you put that. Complete uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But it's not really complete because you know you're going to be out there. So would you mind telling us about this journey? I think that speaks to mastering communication and transformation, because you're transforming not only your life, but people's lives that you're going to see along the way.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm grateful that you're having me on your show. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. It's I don't take this lightly whenever I come on a show like this, because I know that the three of us on here, there's a respective journey that is so deep and so wide to get to this point, to be on a show in this modern age of 2024 at this point in time. And that to me is a gift to be able to come on here and share. And number two, thank you for bringing up mastering communication and transformation, because the communication part is so relevant. Because the phone calls I get, you know, it's funny, you go in a direction, you're going to be teaching this, you're going to be doing this, but then you have to go, what am I getting called for? I get called more often for relationship conflict or challenges or insights, or more than anything else. The fact that you're bringing this up today is on point. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So to answer your question about what I'm doing, I intuitively feel that what's happening in the world, I feel gut feeling, people need connection. And while your show you're doing this is great, because you're expanding out and you're able to reach a lot of people. And I think the virtual platform is still going to be a powerful tool. It is. We need to use that. But what I wanted to do with this is I want to get in front of people, face to face, get people together so we can look each other in the eye. We can hug each other. If you need to let something out, you can let it out. And all the events that I've done over the years, people think, oh, you're great, you've done all these events, but really it's about getting people together. And I find that you can get people together in any form, especially face to face, and you create the right environment, miracles happen. And of course, you do have your times where communication can be an issue, especially when you're planning a show, you're planning an event. Communication is key. So I'm eager to talk more about it today.
Nikki.
Hey.
Nikki, you joined us. Thank you so much. Woo, Nikki brought you in. That's incredible. Thank you for joining us, Nikki.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Great to see you, Mickey.
Same here, Nick. Nice to meet you, Austin.
Nice to meet you in the well, not in the flesh, but kind of on the spot, on the air, I should say.
Virtual flesh.
Virtual, but in the moment, right? We've never
that's a little scary. It is a little scary, we're like subtly going into this new way of connecting and experiencing, reality. There's something very subtly over time. I wonder where this is going to take us.
It's incredible. Somebody said to me they needed glasses. I said, you should get those Meta glasses that they're made by Ray-Ban. I'm not promoting them. I'm just saying it's kind of cool because you can wear these glasses anyway. And then you can take a picture. You can answer a phone call. You can do all
my
this.
God.
I saw an advertisement for that. I was like, this is wonderful.
Cool. And Mickey's like, wait a minute, I can get glasses like that? So one of the cool things is that the girl's on a moped and the guy driving and they pull over and there's a sign. And she goes, interpret that for me because it was a different country. And it said party all night. And then they went into it and they were partying all night. So that was kind of cool.
Wild. Unbelievable.
Mickey, you just came in and Austin was telling us about his journey, and we're gonna ask him to continue on that a little bit, and then we're gonna get you into what we're calling today the show of mastering communication and transformation. So, Austin, please continue.
I was just saying, I think it's important to get people together during this time, and where people can be so disconnected. And to your point, I feel like we're in we've talked about the information age, but I think we're now in the overload age of where information has led to the complexity, the age of complexity, in that there's so much information, people don't know what's good and what isn't. They're just being downloaded all the time, and which is a great superpower to have. It's great to have information all the time. I just saw this show, 60 Minutes, an old show of 60 Minutes, where they had these people, they're like these rare individuals, and these people could remember, you could say a date in like 20 years ago. They could tell you the date, the day, what they did that day, almost with 99% accuracy. And they talked about how this is such a great superpower, but it also has another side to it where you're reliving things that happened to you. And so I think it's the same thing with being able to access everything instantly creates a complexity. So what I want to do is get people together and to really create these spaces all over the world. I mean, if you being I was on a quota for 21 years, just to give a little context. So I was always striving for the future moment, always getting to the next goal. Got to get to the next goal. And this present moment became a means to that end. And so essentially my life was slipping through my fingers because I was always in the future. So going from that 19-year corporate job into this space for the last 5 years, and now becoming a poet unexpectedly. So I'm going to be taking these live events, doing poetry, mindfulness, experiential learning, and relationship building. And that's why I'm excited about the topic today. So that's a little quick background.
And you probably were a poet all along. You just didn't know it.
It's true, because it's funny because Sifu, when I go back to my journals, I was writing it, 20 years ago, but it never crossed my mind. And it's like falling in love. You wake up one day and you're like, wait a second, where was this? It's kind of all of a sudden you're like, wow. And this thing's like picked me up and taken me. It's my most passionate thing. And being able to combine like presence and poetry together has been just transformational for me. And so I want to share that with the world,
Love it. Mickey, do me a favor. When you get a chance in the private chat, go ahead and put in your email or your website, wherever you want people to follow you at.
Okay.
Like we had for Austin. And right now, in the comments, I'm going to put for people to connect with Austin, and I'm going to put your contact information there. that you provided here. And so that everybody gets an idea that we're not just here to promote the show. We want you to follow these incredible human beings who are with us. So, for example, if you look at it, it says connect with Austin, and it's got his website, right? So everybody do me a favor and go and connect with Austin. But we also want you to connect with Mickey and myself. And then also like the show, if you like the show. And if you're watching it on a replay, hit replay, hashtag replay, so we know. Comments are really cool for us because it lets us know that you're engaging in the show. And Austin, incredible.
Thank you. It's a calling. I feel like the stuff we sit and try to think about that we're going to do, it fails to comparison. I just put a quote up there. What you can plan is too small for you. What you can plan is too small for you. And this is why we need to be in the moment, because whatever our head is fabricating will fall short to what our heart and soul and our being has for us. Marie says, what you seek seeks you. And I think that part comes from being in alignment, not your head trying to come up with these ideas. It's when you're in complete alignment with who you are from a deep level. And then you begin to live from the inside out. Your life takes on something that you can't even, it's beyond your imagination. Mm-hmm. And I'm experiencing that. And I want to teach others and create the space for other people to experience this as well, because I know the power of it.
Mickey, thank you for joining us, my friend.
You're welcome.
I know you were somewhere else, but I'm so happy that you came here. So tell us about the topic we're talking about, and Austin just shared something beautiful, and the fact that he was doing something 20 years ago that he finally realized it's been his calling all along. He just didn't know it at that time, and that's why I kind of had to throw that little pun in there for you.
Yeah,
Or a poet and didn't even know it.
That's right.
And so many people are something in the world, but sometimes they don't realize their superpower, their skill, right?
So true.
Well, I was so struck. I haven't been here for the whole conversation, Austin, but what you just said in the last minute was so well spoken and so clear and resonates so much with me. And it's what I'm coming to my own journey and articulated not nearly as clearly and directly and with such calm as I can actually see you in that space of that place. You're resonating throughout. I mean, there's a resonance, you're aligned. I mean, it's clear and you've experienced it. I've had moments, but I have a very busy head and I'm still learning to manage it, not master it, because you can't control that. But all of what you said just so speaks to, and there's such a truth to it. And I even hesitate with that word truth because there's a lot of truths. There's maybe a few, with the capital T, most of them are small T's, not to be diminished, but just, everybody sees things from their own perspective, particularly if you believe in a quantum existence and all that. But, the language, there's so much language around it. But I so felt what you said. And that's how I know it's real. And I can just, get it from you. There's this quiet calm of recognition of who you are. And, to kind of add to it, or I don't know if I can add better, but we live so much up here in our heads. I look at this, we're evolving. We think we are born into okay, we're done. Human beings are done. And we live we learn the rules of the world. Everything's given to us. A number of us passed on through our bodies and through, birth and DNA and all that. And we think that this is it, or at least part of us, that identity, that ego thinks, okay, we're here. I'm going to strive for that thing. And, that's what they told me, do this thing. And then I'll get money, and then I'll get this and I'll get that, and I'll be better and all that. What I know is when I get quiet and I slow down and I connect with myself, and Nikki's been teaching me some things to connect to some things inside that I knew were there, but had been denying because I have too busy worrying about it up here. it gets simpler. Maybe not easy, but it gets simpler, and life gets very clear when you can speak from that place. And you create. And look, the reality is we're creating everything from the inside out, whether we're aware or not. So if that's part of the design, let's use it the right way.
Yes. Very well spoken. Very well spoken. I like what you said about living in the head, because I think that, and to dovetail this into mastering communication, think about the communication with yourself. And if you're up in your head, and that's what Mandy's putting in the chat there, and also Nikki with Mindful Matters. I mean, that's great what you're doing. I think it's fantastic, because that there's a disconnect. You're not in alignment. You're not able to communicate. The slightest provocation is going to send you off, reliving a trauma from the past, getting fearful, and then all of a sudden you're trying to manipulate, dominate, and control the situation because you're acting out of fear. And so that was great what you said about living in the head and getting out of your head.
And even that, it's like everything that we know has been informed by what's back there, what we've lived and what we've learned. So we're even oriented that unconsciously. So you can't help but not initially speak from that place and with those understandings and those awarenesses.
Yes.
And it's really, it can be really daunting sometimes. But what I found is the more frustrated I get, the closer I am to being aware, or I'm being aware in that moment.
Yes.
And yet I don't quite have the facility to quite manage it. And I just had a client go through this whole thing. She was thrown off by, she's going through a divorce with her husband, and he did this thing, and she did this whole thing. And inside her head, she was like ready to come out of her skin. And out here, she kept it calm and collected. And then, she reached out to me a day later, says, what's going on? And I said, congratulations, your awareness is building so that now you're not at the effect of that thought, and the impact on your body, that when that thing hits, it chemicals and the electricity goes right through you and feeds you. Yes. And that's all this language is like, it's both illuminating and it's limited because this all lives beyond language.
Yes.
Really, and we don't have it. So all we can do is the best we can to represent it. And then you're going to hear it through your experience and your understanding. And you're going to have another experience we're going to agree on it and have the same recognition of it, and yet have two totally different experiences. So what is real?
That's a great question. What is real? Yeah. What Mickey's saying is really so profound. I want to share this because I want to make sure that people are hearing it. Thanks to Mickey, he has shown me that I have lived in my head for most of my life and have been disconnected from my body. And until I started being quiet, closing my eyes, and going inside to feel, there was a misalignment between what was up here, roses and unicorns and butterflies, because I've done the mindset work for my whole life. Yes. But I wasn't aware of the emotions in my body because I was cut off, and that's what we attract with. So when you look at the results you have, and you look at how hard you work, and the results in the work don't match, go inside and feel and shift your energy.
Nikki, thank you for saying that. The only reason why I want to jump in here is because I've had more than one person to tell me that I feel disconnected from my body. And you just said the same thing. And I wonder how many people, and I don't know if this is a woman or man thing, but I think they probably experience it in different ways where there's a disconnect. But I wonder how many people out there that might even be tuning into the show that feel disconnected from their world. There's a disconnect. They're not in alignment because the head takes over. The ego comes in and takes over, and then they're losing something. And I had this great quote that the more you try to prove yourself, the more you try to prove yourself externally, you will lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you've lost. And I think this is what happens. This could happen collectively. This could happen in a relationship where one partner is constantly trying to validate themselves with another partner. And they're trying, but then they lost themselves, and then they lost.
Entirely lost.
What?
I said entirely lost.
Entirely lost. And then I don't know who I am. I've heard that. I don't know who I am anymore. More than one person has said that to me.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am anymore, because you lost yourself in the head. And I just want to share this. There's a statue, I want to say like Netherlands or I can't remember the country, but it's a body, and it's got this giant head, and the head's like tilted against this like ledge, and the little body's dangling. And it's like, it's this whole artistic piece. I'll have to dig it up so you can reshare it. It's pretty cool, but it reminds me of this idea of living in our heads, like you're talking about, and being disconnected.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Before, when you talked about the eidetic memory, and it reminded me of the Big Bang Theory with Sheldon.
Oh.
You can recall everything. But, you know, I've encountered people who not only can they tell you the events of the day, they can tell you what they ate, the clothes you were wearing, the clothes they were wearing, and
I know.
room. And when you go into something like that, that is totally a gift. And it is important for us to realize that somebody like that does not necessarily is living in that time, but they can pull it up like that. And so when we all have that ability, the reason we don't do it is because we've moved on, right? Because it's in there, but what winds up happening, it's filed maybe so deep, because maybe it happened 20 years ago or even last week. Can you recall what you had on Tuesday morning for breakfast? Can you recall what pair of socks you put on or what shoes you put on last Wednesday? Probably not, because those were not important enough for you to recall. But do you remember when somebody yelled at you? Do you remember when if somebody repeats this to you, I love you. If it happens once in a blue, that's memorable. If it happens every day, it's not.
True.
So we remember the things that impact. And even though it's all in us, every memory is in there. This is why people go to hypnotherapists to find out about their past. But everything is in us. The question is, how much importance do we give it? Do you recall the first time you had fill in the blank? Do you recall the first time you went to, or do you recall the first time you stood? So the importance is the impact. And so, Austin, you're going to go into all these different places, and the minute you start to communicate, it's the words that you're going to use that will reflect the impact that you will bring to that audience, to the people who are interested in what you have to say. So communication, my gosh, that is probably one of the most critical aspects that we have in our arsenal. Can I share this with you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Welcome to Speaking Prowess, where we believe in the power of communication to transform lives. If you're ready to take your communication skills to the next level, we have a lineup of some of the most influential communication experts in the industry. These are the voices that will guide you on a journey to enhance your ability to connect, influence, and succeed. At Speaking Prowess, our mission is clear: to empower you through effective communication. We know that mastering the art of communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how you say it and the impact it has on every aspect of your life. So take action now and get ready to embark on a journey towards personal and professional growth.
So we have an event coming up in November 22nd through the 24th on communication. We have communication workshops, and it's going to be 3 days filled with not listening, not hearing, but doing. And then when you start doing, you combine everything about you. If you consider what Austin is going to be doing, he's going to speak words that will touch someone. And everybody in the audience will be touched differently. Because that's the beauty of words, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They all hit us in different ways. When you showed the communication video, Sifu, I was thinking about how much our communication matters. The words that we tell ourselves about something, and how that could make us follow along on our path, leading towards our goals, or get derailed because of what we're telling ourselves. And a lot of it is not true, especially when it doesn't feel good in the body and you get a negative emotion.
I want a quick shout out to a bunch of people who've been watching and commenting, and we love that you do that. Mandy Robinson always comes on my show. So Mandy, my God, sending you some tons of love. And Emilio, thank you so much. And Jose Escobar.
Emilio.
Think about all of concepts, the ideas of just that little touch point that we can share. I mean, listen, they just filled my heart by just making a little comment, or even waving, or just doing a little heart in the comments. Those little touches affect everyone. So let's not forget to reach out to someone. Or maybe somebody pops into your head. Don't go, oh yeah, I thought about that person, and then let it go. Reach out, say, hey, thinking of you, right? It's that little bit of communication that we sometimes take for granted. When was the last time? This is a question for everybody. When was the last time that someone that you hadn't seen popped into your head, and then later on they communicated with you before you did?
Oh, that happens a lot.
Just
Energy.
recently.
So what I'm suggesting is beat them to the punch. You reach out first.
Mhm.
You know, the one thing
Yeah,
I would just say about this, I just want to it's yeah, don't make it like it's true, like we know, okay, it's like now that's a bit of knowledge. Yeah, I know that. But if we can dwell on that a little bit and be curious about it and really think about what really connects us. I mean, there are stuff we're being touched. I mean, there's all that quantum theory and all that. I always forget Einstein's theory, but where the connected two different things connected across the universe. You know, at the same time, they get the message. There's so much going on, and like I know, everybody nodding their head, and when I nod my head and I go into knowing, I forget to be with the miracle of that, the incredible unknowing, us, our lack of everyday awareness of it, and yet it's there. And so I mean, that's all. I mean, I'll keep going ranting, rolling on, but you get the point.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
no, it's and when you say I'll stop it there, but we value what you said, and that's something that we have to consider that. And Austin, you alluded to it before, that you were living in the future, but you were not in the present, and the present was only so that you can propel yourself forward. But there's nothing wrong with considering tomorrow. But you're right. Today matters, because it's that old cliche, tomorrow's a gift, right? But consider every minute counts, every second counts. And I'm going to tell you when every second counts. Have you ever held a squat position without weights,
Mhm.
right? And in Kung Fu that I teach, that's called horse stance. And we sit in it, legs are parallel, back is straight. You seat it like a chair. And when I tell my students we're holding it for a minute, they could barely hold it in that position. Meanwhile, I've been holding that my whole life. And the beauty is when you feel it, when you are in it. That's the beauty of it. People dwell on the pain. They are dwelling on the wrong feeling,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because with these practices that I do, what I've conditioned myself, when you feel the pain, you instead of you feel the pain, but then lean in a little more. So instead of like you feel the pain and you just that's what happens in like yoga or holding poses. People, they start to lose their balance. The perception of loss of balance causes them to fall off. But if you just don't react to your awkwardness or the pain right away, you can then lean into it more. And I think it's the same with communication. When you feel the trigger coming up inside of you, the emotion is raging. It's like that pose. And are you going to hold it, or are you going to, you're going to go out and you're going to give that person a piece of your mind? You're going to, fight or flight. I'm not talking to them anymore. Right. Or, you know what? You're giving them the finger, you're screw that person, because that's the fight or flight mode. But I just want to say quickly on you asked about, have you ever thought about somebody and they called you? And this happens to me consistently. I'll think about somebody like milliseconds before the phone rings. It's almost like this is the quantum part where I'm picking up the call before the phone. And that's where like the entanglement part, where I don't know if it's entanglement, but what Mickey was talking about, I think he was talking about entanglement.
I think it is entanglement.
Yeah, where, two particles, you move, it could be on the other side of the universe, you move
spooky action at a great distance or something, because what do you call it?
Yeah, so this happens with the phone with me all the time. I'm like, oh my, and then I'm like, whoa. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is, at first I'm shocked every time it happens. And I'm like, wait, like this is proof that, whatever you're thinking about somebody, and this is why, even when you're not in somebody's physical space, and for the listener, if you have a challenge with somebody today, send them love. If you pray for them. Send love to your adversary. Pray for the person that triggered you. And then when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So as you start to exude love, you're starting to change yourself, and you don't realize that's the way it works. And it's a beautiful message.
It is totally beautiful. Go ahead, Mick.
Well, there's a couple things I'm going to step back. First of all, that whole, when you talked about Austin, about living in the future to create something now, there's a couple things. One is we can be informed by the future we choose to create, as opposed to be informed by everything we know about ourselves that we've, been repeating. So there's a distinction. Of course, human beings being how we are, we see something we like and we fall into it thinking it's going to be the answer right away. But so there's that piece. If you can, have that, and I've done this in my life many times, you just have that vision or that target, whatever, be the thing that moves me, that I start walking towards. Now, I don't always get to what I originally see, but I always get to something that is similar or better. That's the first piece. And then what you were talking about, Sifu, regarding the whole squat thing. So, we get down that squat, it's all uncomfortable in our body, our brain's talking and everything's going on. And we're so busy reacting to it that if we can just drop into it, like there's an exercise to do, it's simple, and I learned it 30 plus years ago. You just start to objectify the thing you're looking, like actually separate yourself. You look at that thing, like what's that pain feel like on a scale of 1 to 10? What is it? How deep is it? And there's like 5 questions. You just, in the process of observing it, you separate, and then it's you observing that. And we're talking, and all these are words around the same things we're talking about. Going beyond, where it's like seeing this thing for what it is. I get on the elliptical, 30 minutes. Okay, I'm ready to go. About 2 minutes in, my legs are burning, and I'm talking to myself. Well, maybe 15 today. And then I keep going, and that conversation passes. And then, I feel pretty good. All right, let's go faster. And so it's like it's so right there for us. And the more that we can be willing to not believe everything we think and just fall into what's there or be with what's there, it takes on a whole, the experience totally changes. I use the example of, 1491, the world was flat and everybody lived like it was. Don't go too close to the edge. And think about how that limited everybody throughout. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. Now nothing changed out there. Nothing.
So limited.
It's great.
It's interesting when we can consider pain. So when I see somebody and they're like, "Oh, this hurts," I'm like, "Wow." I said, "You're missing it." I said, "You feel that?" "Yeah." Like, "Congratulations." Like, "Congratulations?" "Yes, you're alive." Wouldn't feel that if you were dead. So enjoy that. Are you crazy? Maybe. But it's understanding at a deeper level where pain should give us insight as to maybe what is going on, to look beyond the pain and find a beauty in it. And for me, I fell from a different tree. Let's put it that way. I actually, the more pain I'm in, the more I actually laugh. I don't cry. I don't wince. I don't cry. I laugh. And it kind of happened by accident. One time I went for this Chinese healing type of thing, and it's called Toina. And Toina, what they do is they lay you on the table. First they slap you open hand to bring the blood up. And then they do this with their fingers. They put them together like a beak. And then they go really high and they come down and hit your pressure points. And before I went into the training, I'm hearing people screaming and crying and all this stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be fun." I go in.
Wow.
And the Chinese doctor doesn't speak English, but he knows. I told him where my pain was. I had a thing in my back, and he starts going at it. And I'm like, I'm not making a sound. So he tells me, when he brings an interpreter and he says, when you feel pain, you have to say tongue. And when you feel a lot of pain, you have to say so tongue. I'm sorry, ho tongue. So I'm over there and he's hitting and I'm just not doing anything. So he calls the interpreter and says, "Tell him to say it." And she says, "Tell him when it hurts." I'm like, "Okay." He keeps hitting. So he's getting mad. He thinks he's not hitting me hard enough.
Is he hitting you harder?
He starts hitting me harder. At this point, I start laughing. It's making him madder. And he hits me harder. And then I laugh more. And then the woman comes in and she wants to know what on earth is going on. And then she says, "What's going on?" I said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Because it hurts." And he goes, "So say it." I said, "Okay, hold on." And then he's like, "Oh, okay." So every time he hits me, I would laugh and then go, say it. And now he understood that the pain, I had a different reaction to the pain than what most people had. And it's been because of what I've gone through in my life that I understood that in order. And I've been through several things. One time I had both my scapulars ripped, and the therapist has to re-rip them in order for them. And she's looking in the mirror because she has me sideways, and she's going, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "But you have no expression in your face." I said, "Did you need one?" She turns around and she goes, "Are you feeling this?" I said, "Trust me. What you're doing is amazing. I want to thank you for that." I said, "The pain you're putting me in now is better than the pain I feel all day long. So please don't stop." So I learned very early on that sometimes you need to go through the pain to feel the healing. I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
That's
That's
fantastic.
so cool. It's so cool. And again, it speaks to we create our own experience, and through however way you came to that, now you get to experience it in a different way. It doesn't make it any less or it's not even different. Probably the thing is, but how you relate to it and how you experience it is totally different than I would. I'd be screaming I'd be screaming.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, Sifu. Yeah, that's to be able to have a different reaction to it. And probably your nervous system responds more advantageously to it.
So if you see me laughing a lot, either I'm in pain or I'm really laughing.
Don't laugh on here. We'll think that.
How did you come to that, though? How did you come to that? Excuse me, Austin.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I've had a lot of. I'm going to put it to you this way: I have more lives than a cat, and hopefully that explains a lot.
Okay.
And Mandy wants to laugh with me. Okay, Mandy, here I come. I'm going to hit you first.
Well, it just gets me thinking, like, you know, how you changed your response to pain. Most people will yell or cry or scream, and you laughed. And I'm sitting here thinking, what if we changed our reaction to other things in our life? The relationship that you have with your partner, instead of going to yelling when you're arguing, what if you went to a different response? What would change then? So I think this is really applicable to our lives.
Yes.
What happens when two people are yelling? Nobody's listening.
Mm-hmm.
The ears. Well, the ears are open, but the
walls.
There's only a bullhorn. You can only listen out. And you bring up a great question, because how can you listen when you're yelling? It's very difficult. You only listen to yourself. That's all you hear. How can you even win an argument if you never heard the other side?
Yeah, it's very hard. I was yelled at recently by someone, and it was very hard for me to listen to what he was saying, because it was so it was a lot coming at me.
Tell me his name. I'm coming.
I have to say, it's really not a useful way to get your point across, but people don't know, right? So when they feel like you're not getting them or they're not being heard, they change their volume, because they weren't taught, likely they weren't taught another way of getting their message across. And this is why our conversation is so important about mastering or changing or up-leveling your communication skills.
And they stopped learning. They stopped learning.
The best thing to do when somebody's yelling at you.
Well, there's another part of this, though. I think there's a thing called learned helplessness or learned hopelessness. And I think that people go through life, and there's so many people that are not good communicators. And you'll see this in families and cultures where none of them have learned healthy communication. And in that environment, you have to fight to be heard. So rather than expecting that thing, because I study a thing called verbal aikido, which is James McNeil has started that, and it's and one of the things is when somebody feels heard, understood, respected, and accepted. And if you don't get that, you don't know you're not getting it initially, and so then you just create this alternate behavior. You don't know any other way, and you don't know that you're able to communicate. I've sat down with people that said this was the first 5-minute meaningful first conversation I've had longer than 5 minutes that was meaningful in 5 years or 3 years or 5 years. And that floored me. So I know that there's people in their lives, in the roads they travel with family and friends, they are not able to. There's nobody in their life where they can do that. So what people resort to then is, I'm going to raise my voice and you're going to listen. But of course, we know that it's the opposite result, because the moment, in Nikki's case, the moment that person did that, you just shut off, right? You're just, and you're not feeling good. You're like, whoa. And then there's the aftermath of that. And how do you get out of that, right? So it's learning to, it's emotional, it's EQ, emotional intelligence.
And if I might add on the shoulders of that, that person's not arguing with Nikki. That person is arguing with the conversation that started it, whenever, or the most recent one that really got them. That it's not about Nikki. That whole thing is about them trying to be heard. They're not even with her in the moment to recognize that, oh, maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it's just something's getting activated.
So true.
One of the things that I do with the kids that I teach them how to listen. So when I call them over, they come over, their hands are like this. And this is power, this is peace. It's peace over power. But they come and they stand like this. That means that they're giving me their full attention. And then I say, at ease, they clasp their hands behind them, they open their legs up, and they say, we're champions, sir. That means that they're champions at listening, they're champions at ready for the instructions. The other things that we do with children is that we sometimes put them off and we don't listen to them. So why would they want to listen to us? And then we're teaching them that this is the right way, that we can yell at them, we can talk about them, but say, hey, this is adult talk, you go away. We're dismissing their. And so for me, it's always about, do I have something of value to say? So when I yell, it's not because I'm yelling at a person, is I'm yelling an instruction. So I teach the parents to get their kids to listen to them on the spot, and it's called lock it up. So I play with the kids and I say, guys, we're going to run around like crazy and you're going to scream French fries and as loud as you can. And they're running and running and running. And I scream out, lock it up. So they have to hit their shoulders and their thighs and become like a statue. Then I take these stuffed bats and I come and I swing at them. And I go like super close to their head and it creates wind and they're like, oh my God. And if they laugh, well, I said, no laughing aloud. And so it becomes a game. But if I am the only one doing it, the kids will only think it's with us. So then I include the parents and I go, now your mom is going to say it or your dad's going to say it. And now I say to the parents, do this at home. So now you have their full attention and they can listen to the instructions you're going to give them. And I tell the kids, you must always, when your parents say lock it up, you have to do it. You never know. They may be telling you something you really want. Maybe they say, we're about to have ice cream. Oh, we're going to go to Disney World. So listening to your parents, I think if we don't teach at a young age how to listen, it's going to be hard when they become older. And then they're 14, 15 years old, and we're trying to get them to listen to us. Meanwhile, we never taught them how.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great, that sounds like an amazing class that is well needed. You know, I always look at children, I don't care how old they are. I just, in my mind, they're little adults.
Yeah.
And I act accordingly. I get on down on one knee. And as a matter of fact, I even apply, I feel like I'm even more receptive with a child because I feel like their consciousness is so open and they're picking up nuances that you're completely unaware of. That because they're not, the brain is still pliable. There's the neuroplasticity. They're still opening up. They're still learning. And I think that it's a great opportunity to be a listener to a child and show them how to listen. And then having the side that Sifu's talking about with the respect and teaching them that, you know, and I love what you did with the peace over power or peace and power.
Peace over power.
Yeah. because that's the bell. That's the quantum sign. We need to all
Sorry about that, guys.
Connecting. Hey, this show's normally about half hour, and we've gone 50 minutes.
Oh,
I
wow.
have a show I have to jump on, but can you both do us a favor? Can
Sure.
you connect with each other, and then both of you come on the show again, and let's continue it. I'd love to have both of you on this at the same time again. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks for the offer.
We
Appreciate
have a
it.
show I got to jump on. Otherwise, I'll be late and I'll be the bad guy, right?
It's been great. Mickey, it was great to hear your insights. Really appreciate it.
Oh,
Thanks. Same
absolutely.
here. Same
Awesome.
here.
Thank you. This was a great conversation. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yep.
And
All right.
where we get the contact info? Oh, I know it's been streaming across the
My
bottom.
website has a booking link on it. Or Mickey,
I'm going to end it, and Nikki's going to stay on. Nikki, you can end this show, but I'm going to leave it, right? And then what happens is what you guys will do is you'll exchange information, and let's make this happen. Guys, I got to go. Nikki?
Thank you.
Control.
Okay. Yes. Have a fabulous day, everybody.
Thank you so
What
much.
I'm going to do now is end the show itself.
Yeah.
And then